1,000 people singing, with what we may call a contagious happiness. A scene that would never be imagined to be seen in a place that is a symbol that represents the pain of South African people. We are in the Apartheid Museum. The photos, the objects, tells little about the story of the recently past history of South Africa, a period marked by the persecution against black people, a regime of total racial segregation. The main story that the museum tells is the story lived by Nelson Mandela, a political leader who was imprisoned for 27 years, who fought his whole life for the freedom of his country. Every day, hundreds of people come from all over the world to learn more about the story of Nelson Mandela. However, thousands of South Africans came today to learn more about the story of a religious leader, Bishop Eddie Macedo, in the official launching in the African continent. The place that tells the story of pain turned to a stage of happiness. The line begins from within the museum and goes around the walls of the building, up until outside the parking, where there is still a multitude who awaits to buy the book, waiting with patience and happiness. When one begins a song, everybody joins in to sing. As you walk slowly through the crowd, you will see that music and dancing is an expression of joy for South Africans. Traditional and colorful clothing, with all the happiness written all over their face. And it is like this in all the places. This lady says she came early and she doesn't mind the scorching heat of the sun. And she says it's not a sacrifice to be in a place where everybody is happy. Here at the museum, besides the great number of people, we also see pillars which are a symbol of a new South Africa, of which some of them are responsibility, respect and freedom, freedom of speech. As we walk in the parking, we see blacks and whites together, which is the new face of South Africa. Blacks and whites sharing the same space. Yvonne says that the 5 friends came together from home and came to the museum with the same objective, to know from the book the trajectory of a man who, just like Nelson Mandela, was imprisoned for his beliefs.
I'm going to overcome the same way he overcame.
The book sale has already been running for 4 hours. It's impressive the numbers of people who came. You can see that up to here, the line of people in the parking of the museum, which is a very huge parking. Let us try to go through here. Here you will have a better idea. The quantity of people who came here today. The books were autographed by the journalist and writer Douglas Tabulario, who also is the Vice President of Journalism in TV Record. The Spanish Joaquim Corbera, who has participated in the launching of books all over the world. He said that he's been working in the editing market for 20 years and says that he has never seen something similar to this in the launching of a book. Marcelo Pires, the representative of Eddie Macedo in South Africa, also signed the books. For him, the multitudes also shows how Eddie Macedo is admired in South Africa. Bishop teaches here that when you are in crisis, you can come out, and for you is not, never to be in. The sales phenomenon started the day before the launch in one of the well-known hotels in Johannesburg, where a number of important figures were brought together. Judges, lawyers, soldiers, doctors, and businessmen. All were there. Among those who were present was Unathi Msengane, one of the South African celebrities. Unathi was one of the judges in Idols South Africa, which is one of the programs that are a great success in South Africa. Unathi said she does not know Bishop Macedo personally, but she knows the work that he does and how his story has inspired South African people. She shared the same sentiment as the multitudes who gathered in the apartheid museum. According to the museum organizers, there were 55,000 people who were present for the launch of the book Nothing to Lose. The multitude that was a reason for the highest sale of all the 36 events, including Brazil and overseas. 101,235 copies of the book were sold, which in English is called Nothing to Lose, and made history in the South African book sale. This week, the book will be launched in 2 more African countries within the African continent, which are Mozambique and Angola. And thereafter, the book will be launched in well-known bookshops in New York, Londres, and Paris. And finally, will go to 3 countries in the Asian continent, including Hong Kong, China. And finally, thanks to the readers for reaching the highest book sales number. And the reward came with what South Africans have as the best, and that is happiness.